ಆಯಿಲ್ ಮತ್ತು ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹುದೊಡ್ಡ ಹೆಸರು ಹೊಂದಿರುವ ಖ್ಯಾತ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ CR ಪಾರ್ಥಸಾರಥಿಯವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಸುದೀರ್ಘ ಅನುಭವವನ್ನು ಪುಸ್ತಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸುಮಾರು 30 ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ವಿವಿಧ ದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಜಿಯೋ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿರುವ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ CR ಪಾರ್ಥಸಾರಥಿಯವರು ಜಿಯೋ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಎನ್ನುವ ಪುಸ್ತಕವನ್ನು ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಲಲಿತ್ ಅಶೋಕ್ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರ ಗುರುಗಳಾದ AICTE ಚೇರ್ಮನ್ ರಾದ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ TG ಸೀತಾರಾಮ್ ರವರು ಜಿಯೋ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಪುಸ್ತಕದ ಮುಖಪುಟವನ್ನು ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಮಾಡಿದರು ಹಾಗೂ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ CR ಪಾರ್ಥಸಾರಥಿಯವರಿಗೆ ಹೃದಯಪೂರ್ವಕವಾಗಿ ಶುಭ ಕೋರಿದರು. ಸುಮಾರು 2 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಕಾಲ ಪುಸ್ತಕಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಹಗಲಿರುಳು ಶ್ರಮಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಹಾಗೂ ಆಳ ಅಗಲ ತಾವು ಎದುರಿಸಿದ ಸವಾಲುಗಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸುಮಾರು 15 ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಈ ಪುಸ್ತಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಸಮಾರಂಭಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಮಿಸಿದ ಯುವ ಜಿಯೋ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ಹಾಗೂ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕುಟುಂಬ ವರ್ಗದವರು ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿ ಶುಭ ಕೋರಿದರು. ಈ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳಿಂದ ಯುವ ಜಿಯೋ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಅನುಕೂಲವಾಗಲಿದೆ ಎಂದು ಹೇಳಿದರು.
In offshore, the soil stratigraphy is so complex. The initial part of my experience is all in Southeast Asia. For 5, 6, 7 years when I was working for a Singapore company, it was very well established and I had immense experience on with the impact hammers. There are some concerns and professor looked at, just was about a month back. So for me, with 25 years of experience working in all these geographies, I have an hands-on with those projects. We have provided solutions after identifying the risks, and those projects have been successfully completed. Then I changed the geographies, that is shifting gears from an experience in one geography to another experience. It's a nightmare because you do not know what is the behavior of soil conditions for those foundations. You do not know how to address what are the parameters to take, what is the procedures, what are the guidelines and so on and so forth. So we'll have to run from pillar to post to search for solutions to problems. And the same thing happened when we went from India to Middle East. You know, Southeast Asia is full of normally consolidated cohesive deposits. In India you have varied profiles, carbonate material, cemented layers that poses a lot of challenge for the offshore oil and gas constructions. In Middle East, the stratigraphy is orthogonally different than Southeast Asia. So you don't see any cohesive deposit as much as in Southeast Asia. The clays in Middle East are heavily over consolidated with the OCR in the range of around 20-25 in the top layers and a minimum OCR about 5. So Southeast Asia is not only consolidated clay up to 150 meters below the seabed. This kind of orthogonal stratigraphy poses extreme challenge for us. Again, when we went to Middle East, we had to run from pillar to post, look for documents, look for literatures, look for experts around the world, and the team with us have consulted Professor Chandrasekharan also many times. In fact, he has given his piece of advice every time, and we were able to implement some of the solutions. So if I recall a couple of projects that we worked, sir, is we conducted poses for the construction of offshore structures, mainly focusing on the shallow foundation, deep foundation, jack-up rigs and the pipeline installation. So these are some of those structures commonly constructed offshore. We have picked up around 3 case studies in each geography. So I have chosen 5 geographies. Unexpected refusal of the pile ahead of the target penetration, which is never a case in Southeast Asia because the soils are so soft and you can drive the pile with the hammers we chose. Maybe 200-300 kilojoules hammers can drive up to 100 meters. But even how do you overcome that? When you come to Middle East, every location is a challenge there. So you will have cemented layers amongst the heavily over consolidated stratigraphy, and therefore predicting refusal itself is a challenge. We have seen when you predict refusal, it drives through like a cake. When you don't predict refusal, then you will have refusal. So when you have refusal, Suman, can we have the vote of thanks and we'll go to? Sir, we will talk, sir. Late We will close this with vote of thanks. We'll go to the media briefing, and I will take all the questions during a I'll stay. Data there, we have provided solutions, and it's also my own personal experience in all these geographies as well. Share one or two quick problems that we have encountered and how we are sorting the insert files, drilled and routed files, whatever the case may be. And therefore, we wanted to bring in the book to describe the.
So I wish him the very best, and I hope to see the book. And as you rightly see, Professor, this transformation from a photographer to civil engineering and geotechnical engineer to an entrepreneur, and today he has built, and this company has grown leaps and bounds, because I've seen that growing. It's maybe about 30 crores turnover, 50 crore turnover. This is an amazing, growth story. And when people were not taking any risks, that time he has taken those risks, and that has. So what I wanted to tell, particularly the youngsters, don't be hesitating. Do your own startup. You'll be a failures, but don't fear of the failures. Failures will be the stepping stone for success. Coming back to last few words. In geotechnical engineering also makes you very humble, because you don't know anything in the side below. Okay, so as a geotechnical engineer, if you really look at the data, more and more is ignorance, more and more not knowing what exactly is there, because the kind of testing we do is a very small quantity. So the design what we give is anybody can question any time. So you have to have logical arguments for everything. So common sense and logic actually will prevail. Rao, the day I started, I think he was already there. Dr. K.S. Nanjun Rao is our common friend with a different background. All the civil engineering fraternity today assembled here for the release of this book, monumental work of Dr. Partha Sarathi. First of all, let me congratulate him for his very unique contribution in navigating offshore geotechnical challenges, a compass. Let us congratulate him. I don't know how many of your geotechnical engineers knew about offshore geotechnical engineering, at least in 90s. So Partha Sarathi left some of the information to be left to me to share with you. When he started in 2007, I was also part of one of the directors of Anupama and Partha Sarathi, and myself were the directors of this company, Sarathi Geotechnical Services, and I stayed with that company till 2019. But when I went to Guwahati as a director, I thought I should not be owning any of the companies. So I resigned from all Professor Sridhar and Srinivas Murthy at Indian Institute of Science. I only refer my colleagues at Indian Institute of Science. So Sarathi joined as a student, he told, and he took my course also in foundation engineering. We had several discussions. Very unique personality. I think what I have to tell you, see, all of us actually, many of us, I don't know, actually got electrical engineering, but he said, no, you should join civil engineering. So I came back and...
Shock.
Huh?
Shock.
Yeah.
Shocking.
And he said, you should be joining PWD, and there is only a job. At that time, if you remember, I'm not sure, sir, that time, for civil engineers, there was the only place where you could get jobs here. And that is the time, very difficult time. Sarathi pays in civil engineering for geotechnical engineering, for investigation, is such a paltry peanut, sir. And who wants to do that business? But still, I never discouraged Sarathi. I said, go ahead and do it. And he had a vision. And he is a kind of family background he came from. Okay? He used to do photography. And he has told me, this is what the culture of, and why I'm mentioning is not because of the, what he is, this is what he is in his, actually in blood. He is an entrepreneur, born entrepreneur. He wants to do something. He showed that he can earn. Earn while you learning concept, even now also it is not much in India. But in US, all of us have to work and only study. Higher education is actually earning by yourself, not your father's money in US. But in India, still we are not transformed. Our parents are really helping every kid to see he does higher education in an university through their savings. But in US and other countries, it is they earn and then go for education. Majority of them actually don't come to who are really entire life saving. They will just put it for the kids' education. So today India is something unique in engineering profession is because of the parents of Indian families. They are the one who slog and keep away, even though they know that these kids will never come back and take care of them, but still they are doing their duty. That's a phenomenal thing. I think that's the culture we are all grew up with. Being a startup and creating a startup and being an entrepreneur is not an easy job, because many startups, many successful ventures, all started with many failures. So to become an entrepreneur, you should not fear failures. You should fail many times, then only you will become an entrepreneur. And Parthasarathi has failed many times. You ask him, many times he didn't have money to go to the next step. He waited. You should have patience, courage. Look at the kind of projects where he was in. See, if you go there, it is a sickness and so on. See, the seasickness will come, and he is a completely vegetarian fellow. What he will do in... He cannot eat even a fish. This is the kind of tough commitment what he has in himself to create. So the journey is phenomenal, Parthasarathi. Let me, first of all, because I associated with you from the beginning, discussed with you many times, and even many of when your growth, I have visited your company. I was addressed all your faculty, staff, met many of them, and I could very clearly say that your contribution to the geotechnical engineering is immense, and it is not a very ordinary, it is an extraordinary. Friends, geotechnical engineering itself is a very complex subject. Among engineering subjects, geotechnical engineering is the very complex. The kind of testing what he showed you, the capabilities, are only samples and a very small fraction of volume which we deal with will test. Very small fraction. And that too offshore is a very good quality, high quality testing is done, because you can't keep going again and again. Onshore, even today, on land, geotechnical investigation, at least in our country, is still very pathetic. Very pathetic, and they don't even do properly. They will write a report. It's unfortunate. I think this case study of Parthasarathi should teach that quality should be the first and foremost priority of geotechnical investigation, because we need to build a nation. So, L&T, we have given the project, and L&T is the constructing the temple. And they are doing the pile foundation, and we have faced some problem. So can you guide them? I said, yes, sir. It's a national project. And he said, I remember still very clearly. He says, you see, I am holding one-man office. I can only tell some people to receive you. Sir, I am a director, I can go myself, don't worry about it. I told him this time. Then it was a little silence for two months. And then he also sent me some reports by then. 2 months. Then when I went to this, and he asked me again, I've sent you the reports, can you now join some online meetings? Because all meetings were online happening. Then I told very, very categorically. I said, sir, geotechnical engineering problems are not solved like this. Unless I see the site, I will not be able to tell you anything but just looking at the reports. I need to see the site, what condition they are. Up to almost 14 meters below the Garbhagruha, and 12 meters in the entire temple quadrangle. And when they excavated, they found 3 generations of the temples below. dating back to Dwapara Yuga. That means even that time it was proved that it was a reconstructed temple. That means it is a real story. The places where he has gone is real. Today everybody is accepting because of the documents what they've been obtained by opening 14 meters. The chief engineer clearly told me, sir, if you are not given this report, we would have gone for stone columns and buried everything below. We did not know anything. So this was a big challenge. That's why the surprises in geotechnical engineering, mainly when you see, and with the kind of technology today we have, so nobody would have recommended pile foundation, the open pit excavation, because the time at which during construction should happen is about 6 to 7 months. And in that way, there is no way of excavating that during monsoon. It will all collapse. That is the question they were all asking. But I also had a back of mind, it is a mask. We don't know what it is below. There could be burial places and everything. So they were also worried about that. If you excavate something they found and it becomes a, whatever, mailige antaralla now. So this story is very touching, and reality at the ground, below the ground is all hidden. But today, to conclude, the temple foundation is sitting on a completely 14 meter by 100 meter, whatever the size of the temple, is all completely like a rock-like structure using roller cement concrete, using fly ash and other materials, and it's almost like a concrete. Okay, no steel is used, and 14 meter depth. That means it is sitting on a very solid rock. Okay, that means settlements are also 4 millimeter only. They have seen the settlement. The criteria was differential settlement of 12 millimeter and a uniform settlement of 50 millimeter, like any geotechnical engineering projects was the criteria there. So which we could satisfy, and the temple is magnificent because I've been there 3 times after that. It is amazing. I think one of the very classical temple, and is also very energetic center. If you go there, because you can see now, it is having a 5,000 years of history, means you can clearly see what kind of energy you will get there. If you believer of God, I think that's the place to worship, ladies and gentlemen. I think now you need to give a big applause to it. Vice President Champat Rai clearly told, if this report was not come from Professor Sitaram, we would have simply gone with stone columns. And also another thing I told in that meeting, so I asked them, please go and do a survey of all the temples and show me any temple which is our pile foundation. The TCE has done a phenomenal survey of all temples, not only in India, even abroad. Okay, because a lot of now large kind of temples of Nagara style has come across India because of the group, Jain group, which is built Akshardham temples in many countries today, even in Australia, America and all that. When they brought out, they made a presentation also. Every temple, even on a coast, it is on a shallow foundation, including Brodeshwara temple. So I even quoted that. I said, you look at any temple. Brodeshwara is one of the largest temple. If you did not know, we have by loading consideration, height also is much bigger than the present temple of Ram temple, Ayodhya. But it is also shallow foundation. Ground improvement and shallow foundation is a combination in many of the olden structures what we have adopted in India. So with that confidence we said it, and that is the history today, friends. And why I narrated this story is very important.
Artificial intelligence, and he has also written a book, How Artificial Intelligence Can... Sitaram, the chairman of All India Council for Technical Education. We are all talking about experiential learning in these academic line from so many years. We find very few literature or the resources coming from the
mosquitoes everywhere, and strange bird calls. So that's what happens when someone wants to write a book, and writing a book is similar to that.
C.R. Parthasarathy, the author himself, to further enrich our evening, now the stage is open for Q&A session. For this, I request Professor T.G. Sitaram.
So on a special note, I would like to welcome Mr. Arun Talkar.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's both a privilege and honor to present this vote.
The entire experience. Imagine that you are in deep Amazon jungle, all right? Thick vines all, they are trying to make their way through this thick jungle. And you're part of this group, let's imagine, struggling, going around, squatting bugs. And there's one guy who is screaming because he saw a lizard blink at him, that thick forest. And amid all this madness, one person is success of all this inside the thick forest. And this dude, who is annoyingly relaxed, did you see the photograph? Fallen through the mud pits and got chased by monkeys, how things have happened. I am here to write down and map it. They are not only ready to share their experiences and insights, that they are actually going there, and they are also coming back and putting all these things together, writing a book and organizing these kind of events, not to show off, but to show them.
ಇವತ್ತು ನಂದು 25 ವರ್ಷದ ಅನುಭವನ ಒಂದು ಬುಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆ ಬುಕ್ಕು ಬಂದು ಡ್ರಾಫ್ಟ್ ರೆಡಿ ಇದೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು 5 ವೀಕ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಬುಕ್ ಕವರ್ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಅದು. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಗುರುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಕರೆಸಿ ನಾನು ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಹಂಚ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಆ ಬುಕ್ಕು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಏನೇನು ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇದು ಯಾತಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಬುಕ್ಕು ಅನ್ನೋದಂದರೆ, ನನ್ನ 25 ವರ್ಷ ಅನುಭವದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಹಲವಾರು ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲಾಗಿ ಹೋಗಿ ನೀವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಆ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಿಗ್ರಫಿ ಅದು ಭಾಳ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಏನೇನು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಾವು ಪರಿಶೀಲನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಹಲವಾರು ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಕಾಲ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಭಾಳ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಈಗ ಅದು ನಾನೇ ನನ್ನೊಳಗೇ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅದು ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಉಪಯೋಗ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನು. ಸೊ ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ನನ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್, ನಾನು ಎವ್ರಿ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟು ನನ್ನ ಪರ್ಸ್ನಲ್ ಅನುಭವ ನಾನು ಈ ಬುಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ತರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ನಾನು ಏನು 25 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಅನುಭವ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಈಗ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು ಬರೋಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜನರೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಈ ಬುಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಒಂದು 2.5 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ದೇ ಕುಡ್ ಗೆಟ್ ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ 25 ಇಯರ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಆ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ನಾನು ಈ ಬುಕ್ಕನ್ನು ಬರೆದಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು. ಅದನ್ನು ಲಾಂಚ್ ಈವೆಂಟು ಇವತ್ತು, ಬುಕ್ ಕವರ್ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಈವೆಂಟು ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಗುರುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಕರೆದುಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಹಂಚ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು. ಒಂದು 5 ದೇಶದ ಜಿಯೋಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ, ಜಿಯೋಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾನು ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಒಂದೊಂದು ದೇಶದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು 3 ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ನ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು. ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ನಾನು ಬರೆದಿರೋದು ನನ್ನ ಸ್ವಂತ ಅನುಭವ ಆಗಿರೋ ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ. ನಾನು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು, ನಾನು ಪರ್ಸ್ನಲಾಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ಬೋದು, ನಾನು ನಮ್ಮ ಗುರುಗಳು ಮೆಂಟರ್ಸಿಂದ ಹೋಗಿ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾನು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀನಿ. ಆತ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ಫುಲ್ಲಾಗಿ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾನು ಈ ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮುಖಾಂತರ, ಈ ಬುಕ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. 5 ಜಿಯೋಗ್ರಫಿ ತೊಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಒಂದು ಇಂಡೋನೇಷ್ಯಾ, ಮಲೇಷ್ಯಾ, ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಮತ್ತು ಸೌದಿ ಅರೇಬಿಯಾ ಮತ್ತು ಅಬುದಾಬಿ. ಈ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಒಂದೊಂದು ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ 3 ಜನನ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಒಂದು ಹೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಯಿಲ್ ಕಂಪ್ನಿ, ಹೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ EPC ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಮತ್ತು ಹೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಸರ್ವೆ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟರ್. ಸೊ 5 ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದರೆ 15 ಜನ ನಾನು ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವರ ಅನುಭವ ಮತ್ತು ಅವರ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವು ಅದನ್ನು ನಾನು ಈ ಬುಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅದು ಸೊ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಮಾಹಿತಿನೂ ಇದೆ, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಲೀಡರ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಂಥ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಕೂಡ ಅದಿದೆ. ಆ ಅನುಭವಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಭಾಳ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ದಿಸ್.